Shalom, it's your brother JUN10.25. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Berachah, Wadash. I want to give double blessings in the yoke. This lesson is edifying. All right, now the Lord isn't going to deal with someone who's in the spirit of they're beyond reproach, or they're on a high horse. Okay, let's see here. You're on a high horse, unyielding. You got, see, and the Lord he specializes in making people realize that they're nothing without Him. Some people, He does it early. All right, with the elect, He's going to do it early and often. But with those who are allotted to destruction, He does it late and extravagant. Okay, there's a lot of people, especially within Israel, who are in leadership positions, and you've seen it as of late, who are on a high horse and are unyielding to correction. You see, in order to be in this truth, like the scriptures say, you got to be willing to examine thyself whether thou be in the faith. Because you understand that what? Our righteousness is as filthy rags. Let's get that here. This is Isaiah. (64:6). It says, but we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags. Meaning, the only thing that gives us usefulness is that the Lord decided to use us. Okay, so our obedience to the Lord's will, which on a higher level is a lesson for another day. Everybody's actually obeying the Lord's will, whether they be in wickedness or righteousness. Okay, everybody's doing what was written in their story to do. But for the sake of driving the point home, okay, your obedience to the Lord is equivalent to your value, which is why I made the lesson yesterday saying your value, what your value stems from. It stems from your usefulness to the Lord, okay? Your obedience. Now, it's very difficult to be obedient when your God is your own belly, right? When you're doing things to feel good or to gain status or to keep up an image or look. It's hard to be obedient then. You really have to be in the mindset that you're simply a utensil that the Lord uses for His purpose to feed the sheep. Now, a utensil in Yahawashi's hands in itself is divine. But without our power using that utensil, it's nothing. It's nothing. Okay? So you have to understand that you're nothing without Yahawashi. Okay? When you understand that, then you start to perceive things. You start to perceive the spirit around you. You're constantly, questioning, am I doing what I need to do? Why did this happen? Okay, what are my weaknesses? What are some areas I need to grow in? Did I handle that properly? You're constantly praying. You're in the right mindset when you realize that, okay? But you had, you got people in purple. You had Nate a couple years ago at the Passover actually come in on a horse. Like he was Yahawashi. Oh boy. Okay? So when you are in that meek spirit, when you realize, hey man, the only thing that gives me value is my usefulness to the Lord, I just need to keep that in mind. It'll keep you where you need to be. Alright? Let's let me see here. Let's go here. It's 1 Timothy 3. 1 Timothy 3:1, and we're going to read it in the NLT here on the right. All right. It says, this is a trustworthy saying. If someone aspires to be an elder, and you got guys that come into this truth and immediately, you know, that you got people calling them elder and things like, what? I'll get into that in a little bit. It says, if someone aspires to be an elder, he desires an honorable position. So an elder must be a man whose life is above reproach, meaning he has his affairs in order. His life revolves around what? His life revolves around the ministry, which is why I was going to talk about a bishop being right down the left. Let's go back to the KJV in verse 2. It says, a bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, because we got multiple wives, especially at this point in the game. You can't be all in on the ministry to the best of your ability. You might say, well, brother, I got a few women, and you know, because if you had no women, you would have more time to give to the Lord. Now, you know, it's the time and place for everything. Okay, when we're not able to be on the highways and byways anymore, you know, best believe, you know, women are going to be clinging to brothers, because it's going to be a different stage in the Lord's movie. So it'll be time for that. But right now, you know, like the scriptures say, those who have wives be as though they had none. You see, just to expound on this verse too. And this is the verse that a lot of people run to say, oh, so you can't have multiple, you got to have one wife. That's for a bishop. Not everybody's a bishop. But this is a precept they'll use, the guys in purples, to lord over men. All right, everybody, you know, there's certain things that one man can deal with and handles responsibilities that another man can't. So take that with a grain of salt. All right, back to the NLT here on the right, verse 2. So an elder must be a man whose life is above reproach. So like it. He must be faithful to his wife. He must exercise self-control, live wisely, and have a good reputation. And we know this man that holds fast to the Lord's way. Right? That's your reputation. He must enjoy having guests in his home. All right, meaning he's willing to open up his resources to the ministry. He must enjoy having guests in his home and must be able to teach. He must not be a heavy drinker or be violent. Those are characteristics of somebody who isn't long-suffering or doesn't have patience or who doesn't, you know, ponder on the Lord's way before they make decisions. Okay, let's see here. Continue on. Blow this up. Alright. Alright, verse 3 again, 1 Timothy 3. He must not be a heavy drinker or be violent. He must be gentle, not quarrelsome, and not love money. Meaning, yeah, it's a lot of guys who they're infatuated with money. And we know the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money itself, because money can be a defense. But the love of money is the root of all evil. And you have a lot of leaders in Israel, man, who that's their main spill. The love of money. Okay? So you know there's particular characteristics that comes with realizing your place with the Most High. There's fruits of the Spirit that follow this mentality of understanding I'm just a utensil for the Lord. I remember Apostle Gabar, man, he was talking about there was a Roman, I forget which emperor it was, or Caesar, who he made sure he had a man that was always accompanying him. So when he would come into the city or they would come back from battle and he was being celebrated, that guy would be whispering behind him, "You're just a man. You're just a." You have to understand it on your own in this truth, regardless of how much you get celebrated, how much you think you know. Knowledge puffeth up, But you got to understand, you're just a man. And we've been called, but none of us have been chosen yet. You got to understand that. When you understand that, there's a particular mentality that follows suit that you're going to need to cross the finish line. All right? Brother puts up, fear the Lord, 144,000 is, let me see here. I got to take this so I can read the comment. Let me take this off. All right. Puts up Proverbs 1:17 in the NLT. It says, a bird sees a trap being set, it knows to stay away. But these people set an ambush for themselves. They are trying to get themselves killed. Such is the fate of all who are greedy for money. That's it. It robs them of life. Their clarity of what the mission is gets blurred. So then they start to talk about shit that has to do with investing in this kingdom, right? Like nation building. They start having these wedding ceremonies in Israel, actually having women in your congregation, having these get-togethers and these extravagant Passovers where people got to buy these Passover packages. Their vision of the mission gets blurred, so they can't be used by the Lord. And if you can't be used by the Lord in an upright way, you don't have any value or usefulness. And everything that's not useful is going to be what? Thrown into the fire. Simply put, understand, man, we're simply utensils. We're forks and spoons to feed the sheep. Okay? You understand that? It's a good place to be in the mind. Because if you're in that mindset and you're understanding you're a tool for the Lord, then, you know, there's a particular conduct that'll follow suit. So, Abarat is out, man. The lesson was edifying. Just getting off of work, finna lay it down. Abarat says, you got something from it. Want to give all praises once more to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to apostles and the elders, a great millstone. Want to say shalom to all the brothers. And of course, the few sisters pursuing this truth and sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your house. Shalom.